Every one of us has certain convictions that we hold to be true, even though in a life we may forget about them until situations come up and then, oh yeah, I know this to be true. And what I'm bringing to you today is something that I know to be true, and that is, I believe that there is a silver lining to everything that happens. I haven't always been able to see it, haven't always been able to feel it, but I bring it forth today with my personal conviction. So, silver linings they're really just the good aspects of challenging or painful situations. And I know that we're all familiar with challenging and we're all familiar with painful. So sometimes we get so locked in those situations that we fail to remember, we fail to recognize there's something better and there's something more powerful behind it all. So, if you can begin to open yourself to this, then you can see that silver linings really are calling upon an optimistic mindset. And it promotes an emotional resilience and ability to adapt to future challenges. What does that imply? They're coming. Those challenges are coming. When I think it requires a certain degree of awakening to recall that this is a school and that we really are here to learn. I noticed yesterday that there was such a buzz of energy up at the ranch. So many different things were happening. And I was able to just observe it. Instead of being caught up in it and living it from that perspective, I was able to draw back because, I'm the senior here. Not that it means that I have anything over you other than years, but it has given me an opportunity to move from being a doer to observing at times, whereas before I wouldn't even take the time to observe. I was just too damn busy. So in that yesterday experience, I began to reflect on some of the things that have truly helped me. And one of them, most assuredly, is a learned skill, and that is to be optimistic. With all that happens, you maintain or you sustain and are sustained by optimism. Knowing that, it was bad today and it may be worse tomorrow, but I know that is not the ultimate. And another thing that has really touched me to the core of my being is compassion. We were just driving along today, and of course, Sarah had her mind on the traffic, and there were times when she was having conversations with Brian on the phone, and we just whizzed right by this fellow on the wayside with a dog. And I was caused to remember when I have chosen to be homeless and how it felt, and to be aware of other people going by with no interest in me whatsoever. And I felt that with that fellow, and I thought, my heart goes out to you, and I would like for you to experience the silver lining. And maybe he does. Maybe he is able to be in his own world and with the day experience the beauty of it and not feel that he has to confine himself to the normal lifestyle. And certainly he didn't. But also, with that I see that, What stories do you tell yourself? What are you saying to yourself? You need to be paying attention because, sometimes your stories can really be self-fulfilling. And if you're telling yourself, I don't have it, I can't do it, nothing's working right, well, you're going to wind up living that. And so far as seeing any silver lining, yeah, when you come over to the other side, big silver lining. But that isn't necessarily the one that's here for you to see. So in that, also question how you think. Because no one else can really get into your mind, at least most no one else. And you look at that and you say, okay, we can get caught up in a cycle of believing our own thoughts as if we were experiencing the only reality there is. And that, sometimes that can be a really dark cloud obscuring your view until you begin to perhaps make a change. And when you do, then that silver lining is going to start appearing. And if nothing else, learn to accept and approach a situation with acceptance, courage, and wisdom. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, and the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And that goes right back to the way you think. Because if you are confronted with something that you cannot change, and you keep butting your head up against it again and again, you're probably going to miss the wisdom and be kind of stuck there. And all of this that we're talking about really is a matter of perspective. It is how I perceive, how you perceive, that determines our experience. And if that's the case, then if the perspective that you're holding right now, it seems like a conflict that you are creating inside yourself, well, then see it as a challenge. You don't have to stay stuck with it unless you don't believe you can't change it. So, for these days and times, I think it's pretty much a given that when you get down and you get out, and if you have nothing to hold on but what this current society offers up, you can really feel lost. But the fact is, you're just temporarily not seeing that you have a place in the universe. I thought about that fellow and I thought, perhaps he has the wisdom to recognize that. And then again, I have met many people that it's just my nature, I give to them. But I see them in a situation where they have their sign up and they're asking for help. They're asking for donations. And I'm seeing, okay, they're feeling lost. But the fact of the matter is, that is a perception. That is an operating, perhaps, truth in your life. So if that's the case, then I encourage you, step out of yourself. Move forward. Reach to those that otherwise you would shy away from because it would be such a challenge to you to step out of your comfort zone. Something else along those lines too is, as you can tell, I am just getting over a cold. But in the process, I was able to move out of the things that I normally do that keep me active and so on and so forth. And I went out and I sat down on the edge of our driveway and I just parked myself right there, and it's spring, And, we can say it and not really feel a part of it. But I felt myself being brought to a place of realizing, my God, Clark, there's all this wonder right before you that's just beyond your capacity to ever create, but not beyond your capacity to feel a part of. And in that, I was reminded of Spirit years ago, gave us an exercise to go out, sit down with 1 square foot of ground and become a part of it. You know, sometimes that silver cloud is missed because we get so blinded by what's going on that we can't really step aside and begin to appreciate life for what it has to offer us. And then the other thing, too, that I say to you, that every time we get together, I feel so intensely, look for the love that you have. I love you, and I feel your love for me. And that causes me to feel somehow or another I am in a position to experience that as I do. And to me, that is a silver lining. You see, years ago, many years ago, but I was still in a body, I found myself choosing a lifestyle that was just so unhealthy, so unhappy. And I had lost all of the support that I had felt was there that I only had. And then I found, the deeper I went into it, the more the sound inside my own head locked me in. Until finally, my call that I used to ask life help got me an answer. And when it did, then it wasn't just, and everything's okay, Clark. Hey, you're cool. Life is fine. But it was, stop pitying yourself. Go on from here. Do what you need to do and lock yourself into it to where you experience your own energies in what you're doing, taking you out of this hole. Well, I went through several marriages in the process and traveled down a road that took me to a number of places. And hey, sometimes you can't see the silver lining because you're so lost in what you're doing. And sometimes the silver lining is years away for you to experience. You know, in this society we have today, get it now, get it now, get it now, and you're constantly fed that to where it becomes an addiction. This won't last. I mean, this is not self-sustaining. So if you need to, take all you can right now, but don't think that this society and what it is offering up is your salvation. So, silver linings. Sometimes when you're in the midst of not being there, it is an invitation to be polite. Sometimes what happens is you hit the bottom and then you're able to appreciate others who you see are there too. And it's good to be polite to them. And it's also good to those that seem to be so far above you and judging you and thinking that they are so far removed from you. Be polite to them too. Because we all know this is a game we play. We have our parts that we play, and we think we're the part we're playing until something happens to us out there, or something inside us reminds us, hey, don't believe you are who you are. Realize that's a choice you're making. And if you feel good with it, wonderful. But if you don't ignore that. Because that's an important thing to realize. So, can you be grateful for what you have? Can you be grateful for the life that you're living? Can you be grateful for the storm that's brewing? Yes. Can you be grateful feeling lost? Because see, if you can, then you're for sure going to be found. And that's because you will be choosing it. So, like I was saying at the end, if you're not seeing the silver lining until way after the storm, you might want to ask yourself some questions. And I'll end this today with these 4 questions. What did you get out of your experience? Who did you become? Who did you meet? And what did you learn from all of this? Because surely, being the eternal one that you are, when you go home, the first one that you will probably encounter will be your guide. And will say, well done, now let's go over this. And these 4 questions might be the ones your guide asks you. Thank you.